Greetings everyone, I'm Inca Rose II and welcome back to another Aether beta showcase video. This time, however, I'm not going to be showcasing you a mechanic. I will be instead showing you a set of blocks or items, if you want, that I've been working on for a couple last days. Before that though, I can show you one mechanic as well as this. I want to make sure I don't ramble on like in the last video and don't talk about something that's not related to the subject for 15 minutes. By the way, I also don't want to make the video 44 minutes like the last time. So yeah, I'm definitely learning from my mistakes. But let me show you what I have here. This is a brittle cane, a pretty cool plant. That's actually from the Highlands mod of the Aether, the latest official mod that they're working on. So I almost pretty much entirely stole the texture. I just thought it was so good that I couldn't really do anything better than that, and it was really simple as well. So I did some changes. I added it, of course, to make it fit the Minecraft, the block, which you know which block this is, pretty obvious. And I did extend this texture. I also made the item textures and the potted version, but pretty much this is a stolen texture. Nevertheless, I really want to get rid of these zephyrs. By the way, this is a new Aether world, but I'm going to be developing. I guess it's fine. And it's kind of sad to leave the old world because I've been in it for so long, but I kind of have to because it became too hard to work there. I was starting to make a structure, and I should probably make a separate world for it, because they require a lot of armor stands to detect if it connects to a different part of the structure and to detect the surroundings, because I want to make sure it generates properly in the Aether world, because as you can see, regular structures don't work properly at all, and I want to make sure I fix that so we don't have anything like this or that. We have properly working things, and I think that's cool. So we're gonna be working on that too. But for now, yeah, this is the new world. I've been in that one since very old snapshots, and even the world didn't generate properly. If you remember, there were quick soil, it was everywhere. Now as you can see, it's not the case, which made it look more like the Highlands Aether and made this way more easily growable. But things change, and you know, you gotta keep up. So either way, let's end with the sentimentals and begin with the showcase. This is a Gravitite Pickaxe. I'm gonna have a whole set of Gravitite tools. As you can see, if I look up like ruby stuff, it looks very different from your regular tools. By the way, I'm gonna have to change these textures because yeah, they're not good. I gotta look into that. But either way, these are gonna be looking different in terms of shape and other stuff, and they're not gonna be craftable. They're gonna be dungeon items, so you can only get them in dungeons, and that's why they have a set of abilities. So all the Gravitite tools will actually pull items towards you, but each of the tools also has their own use, which I'm not gonna show right now. I haven't started working on it yet, but let's just start breaking all of this stuff, and I can get to showing you what's real. So we have all of this on the ground, right? All this brittle cane, all this brittle millet, all this brittle flowers. By the way, it's a food source. Doesn't restore much, but it's a food source. And with these, you can craft bread. Actually, you can craft dough, then you can bake it into bread. And for these, I'll still haven't made all the crafting recipes, but it's coming along. Either way, these are gonna have all some kind of use. Look what happens when I hold my Gravitite Pickaxe. Slowly but surely, if I let the foam on place, this actually performs way better if I'm not recording. But yeah, it all gets sunk into your inventory just like that. That's the special ability. And I think it's a really cool effect. Let me show you again just how it follows the player around. It also tries to avoid obstacles, however the detection is not perfect yet, but I'm going to be working on it, of course. As you can see, if I drop the pickaxe, it drops to the ground, but it also works in my offhand. That's pretty dope. and useful. So it gets sunk into my inventory. And that's very useful. It's a 25 block radius, I believe. Now let's kill this Zephyr so I can demonstrate to you another thing. Experience also does the same, and it has its own kind of particle. Really cool looking and very useful item, passive item ability for these dungeon items. And yeah, that's essentially all what I want to show you for these 5 minutes that I begin. Hopefully this is definitely better than the freezer video. But yeah, my recording software really makes it look like it's the laggiest thing in the world. Well, it is pretty laggy, but it's certainly not as bad as it looks. Because when I was not recording, it was performing properly, like no lag spikes or anything. So yeah, that's that. But I'll still look into making it perform better. And now finally let's get on with the flowers. So yeah, that's what I've been working on for the last days. It's flowers. Might not be too exciting, but strangely I really enjoyed it. I really didn't expect to. But yeah, all of these are completely new. Not like in the alpha. For the alpha, I literally just changed the stem colors to fit the Aether, made it more bluish. That was all I did. But here, as you can see, everything is completely different. So let's go flower by flower, and I'll explain the process of me creating them and what's behind that idea. Let's go from the bottom. So here we have a Wither Rose. It can craft into black dye, right? This is of course not my idea. This was added in 1.14. This is an irradiated flower, which does not craft into dye, but it can be crafted into irradiated dust. And these don't generate naturally. They only do in flower forest, but I make that biome unusable for the Aether, because some biomes are just unusable. Because they generate in a way that's messing up with my designs. But I'll look into the possibility of making it work, because at this point we have to do a generation editing, and we might have to remove trees, certain things like that, and make more biomes playable, hopefully. But nevertheless, these are the 2 exceptions for the rule, because this is not different. I didn't change this at all. And this is from the original mod, by the way, from the Highlands, but it doesn't craft into dye, it only crafts into irradiated dust. Because we already have red flower, and as you can see, I made sure all of the flowers can be crafted into their specific dyes. I might also make an option for this to turn into blue dye, but I'm not sure honestly, because there's a lot of blue. But I don't know how to go about the recipe. I guess two never blooms on corners like this, and the other way around like this would be the blue dye. Makes the most sense to me. Either way. So let's begin with all the flowers. First thing you gotta notice is they're all divided into their own categories. It's because I made them fit in their respective biomes. These 2 first flowers, the Crespidia and the Trumpet Flower, generate almost everywhere. Therefore I made them a blend between the plains and the roofed forest grass color. But I'm gonna look more into that, because there are also savannas and tropics, and their grass looks entirely different. So I want to make sure these fit as much as possible into all playable biomes. Forgotten Rose, which is the only plant in the swamp, and that's why it's colored that way. All of these 4 flowers generate in the roofed forest only, therefore the grass is way darker on them, I mean their stems. And this entire row is all for plains. A lot of flowers generate in plains for some reason, but you know, I'm not judging their decisions. This is a never bloom plain, by the way, because we have never blooms everywhere. They only generate in this biome. Oh my god, there's so many Zephyrs here. It's like a pretty good spot for them to spawn. A lot of terrain kind of allows for it. So yeah, interesting detour there. Either way, that's the idea behind all the flowers, and I'll go into all of them in depth when I actually show them off in their own biome. So let's go and do that really quick, because I've prepped for the video. in advance. So let's go to the swamp first because there's only one flower to show. And this is the Forgotten Rose. As you know, it is from the original mod. And it spawns, I believe, in those Forgotten Aether Highlands kind of biomes, which are in lore connected to the original Aether mod. And you know, that's why they are like forgotten, because it's like the old place, the old realm. But yeah, it looks really dope in my opinion. And strangely, unlike all other biomes, you can see there's a blend of different grass colors. So I also made sure that they're kind of in the middle ground, so they fit in all of these grass types. So I think it's more of this one though. But it's all features in the Aether data pack. It's not 100% finished, so I'll look into making it a blend more within the entire biome. Either way, this is how they look. Pretty cool in my opinion, and they can craft into light gray dye, and that's the only thing you can find in these swamps so far. I believe you can also find what is it? Clay, I believe, also is generating in these biomes, and fossils too. So there's a plethora of things, but flower wise there's almost nothing to see here. So let's jump into the next biome. Probably the Roofed Forest, because there's not as much to show as in the plains. So let's see how things are in there. Alright. Huh, strange visual bug. There we go. So these are all the flowers. And as you can see, there are 3 2-block tall flowers. None of them are in the original mod in this form, but all of these 4 flowers are from Highlands, even though none of them are 2-block tall. But again, I was adapting Minecraft flowers, so I had to make them 2-block tall. I think it came out really good. And also these 2, which spawn often in this biome. And let's get into all of them in detail. So this is the green swing tip. In the original, it's very, very, very subtly green. So I thought I would make it way more obvious, make them lime colored, and they actually look really cool. They're pretty, I would say, weird comparing to most flowers. So that's a cool thing. This is the purple swing tip, which is actually not in the original mod, but in the mod it was called pink swing tip. I did change it to purple because I already have a flower that is crafted into pink dye, which is never bloom, and that's the only reason why I made them purple. But nevertheless, it's the same thing. Here is the Highlands Tulips bush flower, I think that's how it's called. Highlands Tulip bush, yeah. So that's an interesting one. And it's very beautiful. Looks a lot like the rose bush flower, but it's not the same. I want to make sure. I made sure they look like tulips actually. And this is the coneflower. Interesting thing, in the original mod it's called purple flower, but as you can tell, I wouldn't accept it that way. I want to make sure all my flowers actually have a proper title. So I looked up coneflowers. Well, actually, first I looked at the shape, and I thought this kind of looks like a cone, so I was gonna call it coneflower. But then I thought, hold on, this is definitely not my invention. No way nobody came out with this before. And turns out there are real coneflowers, obviously. And that's why it looks more like that, real life coneflower, than the original purple flower. I did keep the leaves the same though. So, yeah. That's about it for this one. And it's not purple, as you can see, it's magenta colored, so that's why I made the purple swing tips purple. Because I wanted to make this look like the real coneflower. And these 2 are Craspedia and Trumpet Flower. So they generate in most biomes, as you can see, and they craft into their own respectable dyes, as you know. So for this one, for all of these actually, that are not based on the ones from the mod, I looked up rare or weird interesting flowers, or I just looked up based on the color, and I was looking for interesting ones, and these caught my eye. I unfortunately didn't have enough space to really show how long the trumpets are really in the real life equivalents, but I think I did a good job at conveying the overall shape. This one, the stem is much thinner in real life, but I'm kind of obsessed with symmetry. I love symmetry, and I cannot stand when it's not symmetrical. So I made sure the stem is 2 pixels wide at least, because that's just how I am. So yeah, this is Crispedia, and I was also considering making them kind of a bush, but I wouldn't be able to translate the round shape perfectly if I did that, so I kind of gave up on it, and yeah, I just left it like this. I think it looks pretty good. And the trumpet flowers didn't really have that kind of problem, so I just left them kind of like this, and didn't give much thought into it. So yeah, those are all the ones that are in the roofed forest. Let's get to the final destination, the plains biome. So there's a lot going on here, as you can see. First of all, Neverblooms only spawn in the Neverbloom plains, because I'm again basing it on Minecraft flowers, and you know, I don't need to tell you what it is. Either way, these are all the ones that are exclusive to plains, and these two, as I said, spawn everywhere. These are exclusive to plains, and there's a bit too many, I think. But I don't know, Mojang, that's their choices. If I was them, I would add more flowers into different biomes. Like I would add jungle flowers and stuff like that. Either way, this is the Neverbloom. This is based on the one from the mod. It's very small actually in the original, but as you can see, I had a 2-block tall flower, and I thought out of the old ones that could fit this shape, this was the perfect candidate for that kind of job. So, and that's why it looks so pretty, because it has these other blooms at the sides and stuff. So I thought it's one of the best looking ones, and it's actually the only one I applied noise to out of the old flowers, because there's a real big area here, and I didn't want to make it look too much like the same thing. It wouldn't fit at this kind of scale, so I added some noise, but I didn't do that to any other flowers. Well, actually I did it here, but I'll go into that later. So this is a balloon swing tip from the original Aether. It's very similar to the one in the mod. So it's light blue. Nothing too special honestly about this one. So yeah, didn't change much about it, because it was one of the first flowers that I changed, that I had a lot of options left, so I kind of just did that. But then I started narrowing it down, and this is the burst blossom. Yes, in the original mod it's white, but I already have a white flower. Oh, sorry, flower, trumpet flower. So I wanted to change the color, and one of the ones I needed is cyan, so that's why it's cyan in this version. And I like all of the other flowers. When you can see the shading kind of falls from the left top angle. This is from top to bottom, and it also changes the colors of the blooms themselves. So as you can see, that's how it's shaded. It looks pretty interesting, different from other flowers. Oof, sorry about that. But yeah, this is the quick shoot, another flower from the original mod, and I didn't change anything about it pretty much. I applied the same kind of top to down shading. It looks kind of alien, kind of interesting. I like it. But yeah, I didn't change much about these at all. This is the Spike Spring. In the original, it's the Arctic Spike Spring, and it spawns at the Arctic versions of the Aether biome. And of course, I didn't have that, so I just changed it to a Spike Spring, and I made it much darker, because I already had light blue and cyan dyes, so I needed like a blue color, a darker shade, so that's why it's this color. And I think the same principle is yeah, but as you can see, it goes from sides, so it's not the same. Either way, this is the, how's it called? Iris Florentina. So I'm still remembering all the names. And this is a very pretty looking flower. In real life, I was looking for gray flowers, and this one really caught my attention. So this is not from the mod. It looks really cool, I think. The way I shaded it, as well as the shape, is really interesting. So I like this one a lot. Next is the Inca Rose. I made this up completely. So this is not from the original mod, and this is not from real life flowers. I don't know why, guys. Looks like this will be in real life. I don't know what's not logical about that. Let's skip that flower. I don't like it. And the last plains flower is the... how's it called again? Chocolate Cosmos. What a weird name. But yeah, this is a very rare flower apparently in real life. And it looks kind of brownish, reddish, matte color. And that was the basis for this. And finally I found something that would fit the brown dye. I didn't even look up brown flowers. It just kind of happened to stumble upon this one. So it was a pretty lucky find. And unlike all other flowers, it's shaded from the top right. The reason why is because I needed to make the middle kind of noisy, so I added noise, and I was... oh my god, really? Sorry about that. But yeah, I've only made these worlds to kind of showcase and fly around the biome, see what's going on. Nothing else really. But for this one, as you can see, the noise kind of made it so it looks like it's shaded from that angle, and I thought, why not apply it to the rest of the flower? So that's the reason why it's shaded that way. And that's all for the plain flowers, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it. And these you've already seen. So yeah, that's it. There are of course one pixel wide stems, but they're kind of balanced out. The only ones that do this are for the Forgotten Rose and the Burst Blossom. All of the other ones are at least 2 pixel wide stems, and that's because of my obsession with symmetry. But these are all the flowers, I think, right? 20 minutes, not that long, huh? Either way, they're all decorative and they all have their own color. I think they came out pretty good because it was a mix between the original Aether mod flowers, my designs, and real life flowers that I searched up specifically for the occasion to make sure I have all flowers that can be dyed, be created into dye. So yeah, that's about it, I guess. What do I say in the end of videos? I say stay, right? So make sure to follow my Discord for updates because I post little snippets here and there. But I do make these videos that are long ones and they showcase in detail, but you really should follow the Discord for all the little things that I add but don't show because I don't want to. But yeah, that's about it, I guess. As always, stay.